Greetings, everyone. This is Renewed Spark here. Oh, Jesus. How long has it been? 2 months? 3 months since my last review? I think it was Devil May Cry 4. And I sincerely apologize to the few viewers that I currently have for not uploading anything in the past few months. Life's been an absolute adventure. I know y'all have heard that before, but I'm working 2 jobs. My girlfriend's been sick. I've been in a car accident. It was nothing serious, but still, my computer went to complete shit, which is leaving me like heartbroken right now. But anyway, let me go ahead and cut to the chase. As I'm recording this week only, there's a handful of Xbox Live it's games on demand that are on sale for $5 a piece. They were originally $20. And I decided to snatch 6 of them, which I don't feel like listing them right now, but one of them is this game here, Bomberman Act Zero. I figured, you know what, despite the flack that this game's get, it's just everyone says it's one of the worst 360 games of all time, and I was like, despite that, it's gotta be worth $5, right? Well, let's take a look at it. Alright, so here's the startup screen here. By default, it has World Battle right here, which is pretty much connect to Xbox Live to play a game. Then there's single player battles. Here they got standard and FPB, which is first person bomber, which I will get to that stuff in just a sec. World rankings, leaderboards, they have achievements. I'll talk about all this as I get to them. And the cage, you can adjust your character settings, like you can choose a male or female, and you can choose the color of your bomber. I just have to say right here now, why the fuck are there females in this game? No offense whatsoever, but Bomberman has always been about bomber men, not women. I'm sorry, not being sexist or anything. I'm just saying, like, considering the history of the Bomberman series, there has never been a female bomber, not to my knowledge anyway. But anyway, let me go ahead and get right to the gameplay. We're going to start with Single Battle Standard, which this will remind you more of the classic Bombermans if you've played any of them before. Load times are a bit of a pain in the ass. They're a little frustrating, but it's nothing too bad. It's not serious. I don't know. When you think about it, considering what it's loading, it's like it loads this same generic small environment. Like, should it really take that long to load it? Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it. Anyway, as you can tell, if you've played any classic Bombermans, this looks nothing like the cute, adorable, family-friendly Bomberman that we're familiar with. They just gave him like this, I don't know, Halo character reject look. Like some kind of Mass Effect soldier or some shit. Why the hell did they even do that in the first place? It's fucking stupid. They shouldn't have fucked with his design at all whatsoever. There was nothing wrong with him as it was. Okay, let me go ahead and get right into the gameplay. In case you've never played a Bomberman game in your life, you you obviously lay down bombs while you're called Bomberman, and you just have to blow up your opponents. It's primarily a multiplayer game. It's just, survival of the fittest. You die in one hit unless you pick up heart power-ups, which allow you to take more hits. But that's pretty much the primary objective of the game. That's all you need to worry about. And like right offhand, like classic Bomberman fans will immediately notice that bombs take forever to explode. Seriously. I mean, they pretty much have the same amount of time as the classic Bomberman games, but that fire, I almost walked right into it. You have to wait for that fire to completely disappear after it explodes, and it takes freaking forever. Like, it's completely insane. While I'm in this mode, I want to go ahead and say this right here and now. The main thing that everyone complains about, and I can't blame them. This game, the single player quest, is 99 stages long, which all you're doing is what you see here, is trying to blow up the opponent. Well, what y'all see me doing is like blowing up these blocks trying to collect power-ups so I can get stronger. But anyway, 99 levels of this shit. No way to save. There is no save feature. You get one life and no continues. What the hell were they thinking? What? Why would they do that? That that has got to be one of the stupidest decisions I've ever heard of in game production in my life. It's just that's complete insanity. And I mean, I'm not saying this is the hardest game you'll ever play because it really isn't. You can like you see what's going on here. When you're about to run out of time, blocks fall, and 9 times out of 10, they'll trap themselves in it and die, and you'll move on. You'll just get absolutely bored of seeing the same environment 99 fucking times. And I mean, 9 times out of 10, that's why you're gonna lose. It's because you're gonna get so sick of the same fucking environment. Why the hell didn't they, like in classic Bomberman games, at least every stage had its own charm to it. Every stage, it was like a jungle setting. They had like the classic green flooring, I mean, which that was cool, but they also had like a factory setting, ice lands, and all that neat shit. Each level had charms and neat gimmicks to it. This is just a plain factory. It's nothing going for it whatsoever. It's 99 levels of this insanity. I'm sorry, let me go ahead and kill myself real quick because I want to show off the other mode real quick. Oh my god, like it's just I mean, I'm being straight up honest. This has got to be the worst single player experience I've ever had in a Bomberman game. It's just, oh my god. It's like, where are the unique worlds? The unique background musics and stuff like that. Like the boss battles. Play Super Bomberman 5 and you'll know what I'm talking about. Where is the two-player local co-op mode? Okay, I gotta say this right now. I forgot to bring this up too. No local multiplayer. Why? What the fuck? Every other Bomberman game, well, I think except the very first one on NES, every other Bomberman game has had at least 4-player local just versus matches. Like you and your buddies could sit on the couch, laugh, have a good time, try to blow each other up and all that shit. That is gone. Like that mode is completely missing in this game. And it's like you might as well don't even bother going to World Battle because no one's playing this. No one. I have tried, believe me. Soon as I bought this game, soon as I shelled out the $5 for it, I tried playing Xbox Live. There's no one on. So it's like, what the hell are you gonna do? Like, you have nowhere else to go. No other option but to deal with the shitty single player mode. Which, I mean, some of you may get lucky and conquer it, but most of you aren't gonna make it that far. It's like, anyway. This is FPB, which stands for First Person Bomber. You see the problem right here? This isn't even first person. This isn't a first person view, it's more like third person. And again, classic Bomberman fans will completely understand what I'm talking about when I say this. How the hell can you see anything coming towards you? Like, the computer can be on the completely opposite side of the arena and set a bomb that has max firepower, and it'll kill you. You won't even see the damn fire coming at all. This is absolutely stupid. What the hell? What were they thinking? Seriously. This mode is absolutely pointless to play. It really is. If you're going to have the stomach to play this game like I am, play standard mode. This is just ridiculous. I will give you guys one tip. Reviewers fail to mention this. It'll really help you if you seriously want to beat the one player mode. Make it to stage 4 while playing first person bomber mode, this piece of shit mode, and stand still at level 4 for 1 minute. Don't move at all. I know it sounds crazy, but just do it. You'll hear a little chime, and you run around and you look for this special icon. You pick it up, and it'll give you 999 life. You can take plenty, and I mean plenty of hits before you actually die. But still, I lost my patience around stage 15. I just couldn't play single player anymore. Any mode. But no, seriously, this game, I feel sorry. I feel so sorry for the people who picked this game up launch day for 40, I think it was 40, $50. Oh my God, I sympathize. I really do. And I must say this here and now. Go to the Xbox Live Marketplace and check out Bomberman Live instead. I bought it for $10, but as old as it is, I think they permanently reduced the price of that game to $5. You are so much better off downloading that game instead. It has that cute Bomberman, the family-friendly design that we all know and love. It has all the power-ups and modes, local and online multiplayer. You can even mix it up. Local players can go online and challenge other bombers. It has everything you need at an affordable price, and it's even cheaper than this. It's just, oh my God, I can't get over how disappointing this game is. It's absolutely disappointing. But I just pretty much ripped this game a new asshole. I pretty much said all the same things that most other critics have said, and I agree with them wholeheartedly. But is it worth $5 at least? Yes. If you're an achievement whore and you want to add some points to your gamer score, which most of you find that pointless, and I respect that, it's okay. I love my achievements though, and you can get quite a handful for $5, and it's not bad. This is not the worst game I've ever played, but it's certainly up there as one of the worst. One more thing before I go. I promised I'd bring up the achievements. Even those can be an absolute nightmare. Beating this whole game, mind you, you have to do it without dying, reaching 99 fucking stages. Some of the achievements in this game are like lay down 1 million bombs and destroy 1 million soft blocks. I think those achievements speak for themselves. With that said, this is Renewed Spark signing off. Again, I apologize for this video taking forever, but I promise more videos will come. Okay, sorry about that. Renewed Spark, seriously signing off. Catch you guys later.
Just like movies and other media, video games are no stranger to reboots, especially in this generation. You've got your good ones, you've got your ones, and then you've got Bomberman Act Zero. Oh, God. Why is this a thing? Bomberman is a pretty awesome series of party-friendly games featuring addictive blow-your-friends-up puzzle arena-style gameplay coupled with a cute and cuddly aesthetic that only the Japanese are capable of conjuring up. There is an absolute boatload of these games out there, going all the way back to the 8-bit era, so regardless of what generation of consoles you started off at, you've probably played or at least seen one of his games. Anywho, developer Hudson Soft decided that they wanted to reboot the franchise in 2006 to give it a much more gritty and realistic feel. And what we ended up getting from that was Bomberman Act Zero for the Xbox 360. Now, I have come to the understandable understanding that the character design in this game is pretty damn reminiscent to how he was depicted in the cover art for the NES game, so it may be safe to say that this was actually the original vision for Bomberman, but I'll tell you one thing right now, after playing this game, I'm certainly glad they didn't stick with that. This game is universally panned by pretty much everyone everywhere for being an uninspired hunk of junk. But I do like to see if I can find the best and the worst things, so it can't be that bad, can it? Well, for a lack of better judgment, let's jump in, shall we? Story. The story of Bomberman Act Zero is that there really isn't that much of a story to speak of. Like, at all. You leave the title screen idle long enough and it greets you with this ginormous block of text describing stuff, I guess. Something about how you wake up aware only of your existence and that there's war and you're an artificially created human being trapped inside a robot shell and you have to play some cruel game in order to fight your way up to the surface and gain, freedom or something. I don't know. It's really stupid and negligible. Next, please. When you start the game up for the first time, you're greeted by the ultra-gritty awakening of your main character, or something. You get fully detailed customization options over your Bomberman, like determining whether it's a Bomberman or a Bomber Girl, and what their favorite color is. Oh, whoa, that's one hell of a way to get dressed. I'll go with, yellow. Yeah, that's a great color. Perfect contrast for the dark and edgy atmosphere of this total hardcore game. Fortunately, one thing that Hudson didn't change was the actual core gameplay concept. If you've played any of the other Bomberman games, then you know full well what to expect here. You run around a giant arena-like maze laying bombs, destroying destructible walls to both clear a path and uncover power-ups, and try to blow up other players. Only this time it's real! There are only 3 modes in the game. The first one is your standard issue single player, which is basically an arcade-style survival gauntlet. You keep going until you reach stage 99, retaining all the power-ups that you've collected during the course of that session. There are no lives and no continues, and you can't even save your progress mid-game, so if you die or shut the game off, you gotta start all over again. Next up is an alternate version of the single-player mode, which is some weird shit called FPB. I guess it's supposed to stand for First Person Bomber, but the only thing that's first person about it is nothing. There is nothing first person going on here. Instead, what you get is a free-moving camera that's zoomed in way too close and a life bar for some reason. Yeah, you also get a life bar in this mode, so you can take multiple blasts to the face if you want. Same rules apply though. Get to level 99, but if you die, you start from the beginning. Lastly, we've got World Battle, which is the first option in the menu for some reason. This mode is the online multiplayer component, which connects you to Xbox Live, and absolutely nobody plays this. Like, ever. So I got my roommate to play it with me, and my god is it uninteresting, and laggy. Jeez. And of course, in the menu we've also got the achievement list, and... Cage? The hell is that? Oh, I get it. Cage. Haha, it's so fucking clever.
You'll carry your prison with you. That armor will be your new cell.
Jesus. As you would expect, the controls are, well, controls. You move around with the left stick, and if you're in that FPB nonsense, then the right stick moves the camera around. The free cam is terrible. It's zoomed in way too close, and it moves way too slow. You'll never be able to see everything, and sometimes you kinda need to in a game like this. Jeez, this is already starting to give me a headache. Think I'll take a break. Huh. That's a weird pause screen. Normally a pause menu like this has some kind of a menu so you can change options or leave or whatever, but this has a control diagram because I guess the controls for a Bomberman game are so complex and hardcore that you just might need to pull up that diagram any minute for a refresher on something real fast. I don't know, but wait a minute. What the? Press back plus X to return to title screen? You fucking serious? No, seriously, what kind of game has a pause menu like this? The only one that I can think of at the top of my head is Super Smash Bros., but those games have a good reason for being like that because of how you can mess with the camera and take pictures. This game, however, doesn't have anything like that. None of the buttons do anything in the menu, so why make a weird-ass combination like that just for the sake of exiting the game? This game is so half-assed that they didn't even bother making a proper pause menu. But fortunately, you do have the alternate option of pushing the power button on your 360 and being done with this shit. Jesus. Ah, fuck it. Man, this thing takes forever to load. And I'm playing the Games on Demand version. You know, the downloadable one. The one that goes onto the hard drive and doesn't use a disc. Yet these small-ass levels still take over 30 seconds to load. And the information that they put on the loading screens is pretty much useless. Why not tell us something useful, like what the fuck FPB stands for and why it's in this game? The power-ups are pretty useful, as they should be, and they come in different varieties. You can place more than one bomb at once, or increase the size of your explosions, or run faster, or penetrate through soft blocks, or even take an extra hit of damage. But that's all there really is to say about the game. It doesn't really get any more complex or interesting than that. And you'd think that that would be okay for a game like Bomberman, but everything else is just so that it doesn't really matter.
Presentation.
Oh god, just look at this game. Just like its premise, its visuals are bland and unappealing. Hell, it doesn't even look like it's in high definition. I'm almost certain that this thing can run properly on the original PlayStation, or at the very least, the Dreamcast. You gotta love the pose that the dude goes into when he wins.
You win.
Yeah, victorious. I will give it this much credit though. For a game that's trying to take the hardcore approach, it at least knows what basic colors are. The audio is just meh. I mean, the bombs explode. Yeah. You've got that weird voice with the strange accent.
Your life. Get to the next stage.
And then there's the music, which is just forgettable. It's completely generic and uninspired, just like the rest of the game, and they're all like 30-second loops. Just look at the title screen. This paints a pretty good audio-visual picture of the whole experience. And is that a robot cicada? Whatever. I love the way the characters die in this game. I mean, listen to this. Could that be any more overdramatic? Like, seriously, these guys are really trying to push for that whole hardcore aesthetic. Is this honestly what they thought the Western audience was gonna gobble up in droves? 'Cause if so, then I'm a little insulted. Let's see here, good qualities, good qualities. Oh, this is a tough one. Really, the only good thing that I can say about the game is that, for all the mistakes it does make, it at least still plays like a Bomberman game. You run around in a maze, you blow people up, and there are no chainsaw machine guns, so, yeah. It still plays like a Bomberman game, kind of. It certainly doesn't feel like a Bomberman game, though. The setting sucks, the story sucks, even though it's not even really there to begin with. There's none of that charm that the other games had, and the most perplexing thing of all, there's no offline multiplayer. All the other Bomberman games that I've played were awesome party games that you enjoy with other people. I remember back when I was in high school, we would often break out Bomberman on the DS or on the Virtual Console and have a blast. No pun intended. But here, there is no such option, not even for System Link. It's either online or nothing, and that is enough to suck any of the fun out. I don't really recall any glitches in the game, you know, aside from the god-awful netcode and the fact that this thing even exists, but whatever, I think I've wasted enough time talking about this, so let's finish this off. To put it gently, Bomberman Act Zero fucking sucks. Yeah, the core gameplay is intact, but everything about this reboot just feels soulless. There's nothing appealing here. There's no charm or personality, there's no local multiplayer, the online component is a joke. It has a gimmicky and horribly named free cam mode, it tries to take itself way too seriously. You have to enter a fucking button combination to exit out of the game. And to top it all off, this whole mess launched on a disc for $40. Even if it were a $5 XBLA game, that would be difficult to recommend. Hell, even if it was free, I would say you're better off playing anything else. Fortunately, they have long since apologized for this travesty by actually releasing a real Bomberman game on the 360 in the form of Bomberman Live, so go play that, because it's good. Go play that, and stay far away from this. X-Men Destiny is better than Bomberman Act Zero.
You are dead. Your life. Get to the next stage.
Bombing is cool. With stuff like that going on, you can understand why Ted Kaczynski and Rita Rudner love bombing so much. And you can also understand the appeal of our next game, Bomberman Act Zero. Do you remember Bomberman? Sweet, innocent, square-headed Bomberman. Well, he's got a makeover, and this is the Bomberman of today. Bomberman Act Zero takes place in a depressing post-apocalyptic world where combatants are only bred for one reason: non-stop bombing action. What's confounding is that while the look is new, the gameplay is still the same old Bomberman. Only you look like Master Chief and Venom had a baby. In an age where the term Bomberman evokes images of terrorists, did we really need this dreary update? Well, to answer that question, we've got a special guest on the phone, Dr. Heimlich Betzer, who has a PhD in psychology and is author of the book, Sweet Christ, That Sucked. Hello, Herr Doctor.
Guten Tag, Adam.
So, how do you feel about the fact that there are 99 levels and no save option?
That suck knows no bounds. It's like, suck is right here, and that is somewhere way beyond it. It's like way over there. I mean, who would do that?
And what about the issue of the absence of local multiplayer? You can only play with someone else over Xbox Live.
Oh, that definitely sucks. I haven't been this disappointed since someone served me chocolate cake without the coconut.
Now, can you actually quantify how bad these aspects suck?
Certainly. I would say it falls somewhere between the film Lady in the Water and the Black Plague.
The bubonic plague, the one that killed hundreds of thousands of people in the Middle Ages?
Jawohl, Bomberman has slightly less suck than that. Slightly less. Just a tiny bit of suck less. Less, is that how you say it in the English? Suck less? Less suck?
Staggering figures, Doctor, and most likely accurate, too.
Adam, I don't just make this stuff up off the Glockenspiel.
Well, there you have it, folks. Along with the new look and lame features, the developers did manage to throw in one interesting idea. You can play as a bomber woman. Yep, us boys no longer have to bear the brunt of this terrible game alone. Now girls can identify with their own gender-specific avatar. I mean, this is post-apocalypse, people. Women should have the same rights as men to be born and bred as fighting machines, right? You've come a long way, baby. One thing's for certain, this Bomberman's a dud. And if you don't believe me, then maybe you listen to that horrible quack of a doctor we had on earlier. Who did he think he fooled with that awful German accent anyway?
Adam, I'm still on the line here.
We get Bomberman Act Zero, a 1 out of 5.
You are dead.
You know, I hear Misha Barton got her undergraduate degree in psychology.
You know, that would explain a lot. But in this age of global terrorism, we should clarify. Incendiary devices, they are not playthings.
So, kids, if you were considering hijacking several hundreds of liters of industrial fertilizers to blow up a federal building or as a prank or a sorority stunt, just say no.
Violent acts of anarchist sentiment, they're just not cute anymore.
You win. Your life. Get to the next stage.
Hello everyone, this is Nintenguy. Oh, God. And it's time for another video game review, and today I'm going to be reviewing a game that I am not really looking forward to. This game is so horrible that many people consider it to be the worst game on the Xbox 360. This game is none other than Bomberman Act Zero. Alright, enough already. I just want this review done and out of the way, please. Thank you. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, Bomberman is a family-friendly video game franchise where you're trapped in a maze and you have to blow up all these different types of balloons and stuff with bombs to beat the level. It was a fun game, and because of its popularity, a lot of sequels and spin-offs started appearing, which of course, a lot of those sequels having multiplayer. Hudson Soft and Konami decided it would be a great idea to make a brand new Bomberman game that would make itself appealing to the hardcore audience by making it really dark and edgy and very gritty. And that's exactly what Sega did with Shadow the Hedgehog, and it was a great idea, wasn't it? Anyway, let's get on to the review. Let's first start off with the storyline itself. The storyline is absolutely stupid. The game is supposed to take place somewhere in the future where there's a world war, and you're trapped in a research center with all these different types of robotic people, and the only way to escape is by eliminating them all. And you're probably thinking, gee, Nintendo guy, what does this have to do with Bomberman? Well, the answer is quite simple. Absolutely nothing. Okay, now that I'm done talking about the storyline, let's talk about the gameplay. The gameplay is pretty much like the other Bomberman games, except instead of trying to blow up other cartoonish enemies with bombs, you have to fight one or two different types of Bombermen or Bomberwomen. Yeah, when you first start playing the game, you get to choose your color and which gender you want to be. Because there's so many options for characters, shouldn't they call this game Bomber People Act Zero? Whatever. Besides blowing people up, there are power-ups you can obtain when you blow up certain blocks. But the power-ups in this game look nothing like the power-ups in previous Bomberman games. Sure, they still do the same thing, but instead of getting a happy fireball faces for bigger explosions, you get a boring picture of a fireball. And instead of getting rollerblades for moving faster, you get a symbol of arrows that are pointing up. Watching characters in Bomberman games getting blown up was usually kind of humorous at times, but in this game when someone gets blown up, it's kind of depressing. There are two modes that you can play in this game. First off is standard mode, where the camera is from a bird's eye view. The second mode is first person mode, which isn't really first person by the way, allows you to control the camera angle around you. Now let me talk about my biggest complaint about the game. There are 99 levels throughout the entire game, and if you get hit just once, you will die and you will have to start the whole game all over again. There are no lives, no continues, no save feature, you don't even get a password system to continue your progress. Okay, you do have a health bar in third person mode, but that's pretty much it. If this was like an arcade game where there was no ending and getting a high score was the main objective, that would be okay. But if the game takes you about 5 or 10 hours to beat, giving you an ending, then why is this game so cruel? For additional features, there's online leaderboards, achievements, and online multiplayer. But don't even try the online multiplayer. I tried connecting to a server with people, but it just so happens that I could not find a single person playing this game online, which really shows just how poor the game really is. Oh, and get ready for this. This game has no local multiplayer. Most Bomberman games usually have local multiplayer, but the only way you can play this game with a friend is through Xbox Live. In conclusion, this game is a tragic mess that just explodes into a big, bright, fiery ball of fail. In other words, this game bombed. Because of the lack of save features and continues, and also for the fact that the game is ridiculously long, the gameplay becomes quite stale and repetitive very quickly. This would have been an okay game if Hudson Soft just corrected the mistakes that I've already pointed out. Now, I can understand why the game is so gritty. It's because the developers wanted to make a brand new game that was appealing to a mature audience. Which is okay, but what you should never do is take a family-friendly franchise and mix it in and make it hardcore. Otherwise, you just end up having a train wreck like Shadow the Hedgehog in Sonic 06. Anyway, that is the end of my review of Bomberman Act Zero. This is Nintendo Guy saying take care, and here's the rating.
lot of us out there are huge fans of the Bomberman franchise, a long-running game series that basically has been on almost every single game system out there, and it's awesome. It's really fun. It's like a puzzle game and an action game, and it's just great. But one game came out in the franchise that was universally panned by game journalists and even longtime fans of the franchise: Bomberman Act Zero. Nobody, and I mean nobody, can find anything good about this game. So let's find the positives. The Bomberman series has always been a lighthearted, fun affair with lots of really good, bright colors, and honestly, despite the fact that you're running around in a grid throwing bombs everywhere, it's actually really nice looking. Take a look at this footage. See? This is how the game is supposed to look. But for some reason, the guys over at Hudson Soft and Konami decided to make a game that looked like this. If I didn't know any better, I'd say that's a gimp suit. For some reason, they actually thought Bomberman needed one of those. And even the Bomber ladies in this game are also wearing gimp suits. This is some really strange BDSM stuff going on in here, which really doesn't feel like it's appropriate for children. So that's what is going on here. Regardless though, this game is worse for a couple of other things. One big problem being that there's 99 levels, and I defy you to find the difference between any of them, because each and every stage looks exactly the same, and you don't know how boring that can be. But let's say you get through all the 99 stages, then that's it, game over. There's nothing else. There's like a little text screen that pops over top and just tells you that you've escaped out of this hole. Cool. This game is pretty bad. Heck, don't just take my word for it. Johnny?
So yes, there's a lot to dislike in this game. The graphical look of this game is bland, it is boring, it doesn't inspire you in any capacity. Also, the character creation screen is so boring. It's split up by different colors that you can pick, and you think that you can change the look of your character, but you can't. All the characters look the same, but they're colored differently. That's the only change. Another hilarious thing about the game is when your character dies, it's this horrific, horrible scream out of your worst nightmares, and it will haunt you. I tell you, it will haunt you in the middle of the night.
You are dead.
Every Bomberman game I've ever played that wasn't an adventure game has featured a top-down perspective that's pretty much become synonymous with the series. But for the first time in this game, they included a third-person camera perspective.
It has a 3/4 overhead view, but you can also switch it back to classic Bomberman view.
Now I know a lot of people seem to not like that perspective so much, but personally I found it really interesting. So the first positive is that this game has a new camera angle.
So one of the staples of the Bomberman series in general, it's always had fantastic control, and this game follows suit, incredible control all the way through.
It doesn't feel sluggish, it doesn't feel weighted, your character just moves where you need him to move, and the attacks and all the abilities that you have are very easy to access. So the second positive is that this game has great controls.
So I know this game gets a lot of flack because people think it doesn't play like a regular Bomberman game, but it does. The gameplay is excellent. It plays just like a regular Bomberman game.
Everything that you find in the game, all the gameplay elements, are just like a real Bomberman game that would have come out before this, and even the ones that came out after it. There's really not much here that changes too much in gameplay besides one thing that we're going to talk about next. But everything else about the game, the power-ups, the bombing abilities, well, all that is right here. This is just like an original Bomberman game. So the gameplay is actually pretty good, and it respects the series. So the third positive is that this game has good gameplay.
So I can honestly agree with most of you. The graphical style of this game is not great. It is not appealing in any capacity.
So the game's got repetitive levels, terrible graphics, and some sexual fetish that I don't even want to identify. But you know what it does do good? There's one feature, one weird feature in this game that for some reason just makes it right. This game has this one thing, and I love it. The life bar.
In past Bomberman games, if you got hit with one bomb, one explosion, it was game over. But now you have multiple chances to get your opponent. You can take multiple hits.
So the fourth positive is that this game has a really cool life bar system. At the end of the day, this game isn't one of the best out there. In fact, it's probably one of the worst, if not the worst, Bomberman game you could ever play. But as Johnny and I have looked at, this game has a couple of really cool features. In fact, one feature, that life bar system, that really does stand out on its own. So, if you ever get the chance to play Bomberman X-Zero, don't. It's still pretty bad.
So, Thomas Parry,
Hey Matt,
there
what
is
up?
a moment in every man's life where he must look fear itself in the eyes and say, well, what if, just what if, everything was a gritty reboot?
Even Bomberman.
Even Bomberman, Thomas. Even Hudson Soft. Look at that glorious little bee,
The
owned
most
by Konami.
Uncalled for gritty reboot of a franchise ever. We're playing Bomberman Act Zero for our latest best worst game.
So I've been after this game for a long, long time.
Really?
Looking for an excuse to play and purchase this. I mean, look at it. It's gone all Matrix right from the off.
So the kids these days, this is what they see Bomberman as.
I guess so.
Cyborg. Whoa.
Whoa, look at him, man. He's so intense. I mean, he's got a scar over his eye and everything.
Who's that? Is that the,
That is Bomberman.
no, is that the bad Bomberman? We saw one.
I
Really,
think
that's
that
Bomberman?
is Bomberman, Tom.
Well, Act Zero, it's such a pretentious title.
A little bit pretentious, yeah, but, you know, Bomberman at the Genesis. I woke up in a cold, dark basement. Okay, interesting.
We have a feeling this game's actually not going to be that bad.
I think it's going to be okay. I think if you strip away all of this other crap on top of it, I will.
It'll be a good
start
game of Bomberman.
anyway. That is just going to be a good Bomberman game, yeah. Right. Okay. So which one of these do you think is like the story?
Well,
Battlecom players and single player
it
mode.
doesn't look like we can play two-player at the moment.
Okay, right. Well, anyway, let's try and get into this version. Maybe there's a new
The
challenge.
FPV version.
The FPV version, yeah.
Going to change to your new Bomberman Zero gamer picture.
Oh, well, why not, Tom? Jared and I get to customize my Bomberman.
Quite detailed textures. Ooh.
Okay. Oh, I do!
Oh,
Right,
look
I'm
at
gonna
those nipples.
look at them nipples. Oh, the single ladies.
You're not a Bomberman anymore.
I'm a bomber lady, yeah. I'm an abomination, is what I actually am. Oh, yeah. What am I changing the colour of? Do you reckon this my Bomberman costume? Yeah, boy! Okay, I'm on board. There we
Blue's
go.
nice.
I'm the blue bomber. I am Mega Man through and through. Okay. Getting lifted.
Factory of battling Bomberman robots.
Yeah, okay, great. Wow, okay, so they've taken quite a simple concept here and tacked a lot of stuff onto it from the looks of things. I mean, I don't even know what there is to say about this
There's
so
a
far.
war going on.
I'm sure there is. War never changes, or so I hear. Right, round one, okay.
Okay.
Cool. Right. I am. Cool. Right, okay. I put a bomb with A.
Is there any... There's one enemy in here.
Yeah, I think so. Increase my max bombs by 1. I don't think think I even need to run this far away, but just in case.
So what do you think of the viewpoint? It's not that friendly, is it?
No,
for a
not
Bomberman?
really. I mean,
Can you want to see a wider view of the playing field?
I
here?
would, since there's only one fucking
Yeah.
enemy. Yeah. That might be helpful, especially when his AI is this bad. I'm just gonna go be a...
So is there a way to change the view? Can you press any buttons? Which
I can zoom in and zoom out using the triggers.
Oh, it's zooming in.
Oh,
That looks
shit,
like
actually, RB also plants a bomb.
don't know why you'd want to zoom
So
in.
does L, like, all of my bumpers, like, pretty much... Yeah, it's almost as if there's not really a lot of control needed in Bomberman.
Well, you need one button.
Well, yeah, pretty much. Put a bomb.
Run away.
Yeah, I guess there's also going to be a separate button for, like, hitting a bomb. Right, okay, you put a bomb there. What do you think of this great music? Is he almost killed him?
The music.
Yeah, it's
Kind of generic.
sounds like...
Sounds like the future.
does sound like
This
the
looks like
future.
Rise of the Robots to me, not Bomberman. And it's not a good comparison to make.
No, it isn't. There we go, I killed...
That
he
was your
screamed in
training
pain.
mission, that was. You survived for 1 minute 32.
Well, it took me 1 minute and 27 to kill that guy. You win, thank you.
Oh, right, yeah. Survival time and time. Okay. You're alive.
Do you think this has got like a weird, like, roguelike, you can only get so far in it thing going on with it?
I really don't know. I don't know what FPB means. And despite hinting at some sort of story, there isn't really any story thus far. At
No.
least. Oh, and what's this? Now you can... Oh, no. The big hand. That's your bomb planting hand, I suppose.
It is.
Now you've got a little bit of a wider viewpoint.
Okay, so
here.
my bombs do carry over. They don't go around corners, which is nice. Okay, so I get lives, so I don't die the first time I get bombed. Okay, well that's annoying, because that means these matches could potentially last a lot longer. I'm not really feeling this Nine Inch Nails-esque gritty soundtrack. I gotta be honest with you.
No,
Okay,
well,
that
it
was really
suits
easy.
everything else, wasn't it? You couldn't give a happy, cheery soundtrack to a game that's presented like this anyway, could you?
I mean, you could.
Well, you could.
It would make it hilarious. But I'm alive. Get to the next stage. How many stages do you reckon there are? Do you reckon this is one of these games that's like an hour long or something? Do you think there's not really a lot more going on here other than it being Dark Gritty Bomberman? Because there's got to be something,
Maybe we should
right?
explore some of the other options in a while and see what the other game modes like.
Okay. Well, Tom, you have a manual there because this came from a time and a place where manuals in games was a thing. So if you can open that and have a
I'd
look
just like
through.
to read something on the back of the tagline on the back of the box here. What lies beyond the frenzy of battle, the light of hope or the dark land of despair?
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yep. I'm going to have a look at the manual. Actually, it's got a page 4 story.
Wow.
Fight for survive. Fight to survive, sorry.
It's the Eye of the Tiger.
You regain consciousness in a cold, dark underground room. But wait, did you really wake up or are you still dreaming? You're not really sure about anything. Is that how you feel playing this game, Matthew?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm
You
really
woke
not.
up in a cold, dark room, you've been given this game to play, now you're not really sure about anything anymore.
I'm not. No,
Wrapped in a straitjacket, your body feels heavy, stiff and cold. Why? Who has brought you here? Now begins the fight for us to escape to the surface.
Who wrote this
The
story?
fight to survive. Simple but deep gameplay with intense battles that can turn in an instant. Bomberman is back with a new design and world based on the story from the first Bomberman game.
Right, okay. Great.
So that was the plot of the original Bomberman, was it? This is Bomberman Act Zero. Multiplayer competition is more intense than ever with new rules, new items and online matches via Xbox Live. Fight to survive in pitch battles against your friends.
I'm just gonna lay it out there, right? That Hudson were working on some really nice bonk games before
my.
Konami bought them.
I've just realised something.
What?
There's no offline multiplayer.
Really?
Only online multiplayer.
Why? Why would you?
2 to 8 players.
Why would you do that? It's a Bomberman game. It's not really complicated. Why? Like, I'm really just worried that everyone screams in like horrible agony when they die as well.
But will they play multiplayer, Matt? Unless I go home.
Yeah, go home, buy a copy of Bomberman Act Zero,
Get an Xbox over here.
and then we can enjoy the beautiful simplicity of
having to
excruciating
play
agony that is Bomberman.
in
Yeah,
two separate locations.
man, like this game just isn't very fun either.
Well,
Like
why isn't it fun? 'Cause it's primarily the same thing as Bomberman,
it
isn't
is, but it's just not got the charm. Like maybe I've actually been lying to myself all of this time as well, and that Bomberman is nothing more than just a charming game.
I know what FPB means now.
What?
First-person bomber style. If
What?
you were to select single battle standard, you get classic Bomberman style.
Oh, okay. So I wouldn't have to do this weird, janky, over-the-shoulder kind of. Well, and over-the-shoulder is the wrong word for it. This kind of fixed camera in front of me view.
There's
I would
boob
actually-
bounce.
There is boob bounce. I'm glad they got that in at least.
Bomberman with boob bounce.
Man, like, what were they thinking? Like, this isn't a terrible game. It's not like Project Maneuver in the sense that it's just like a really bad game. It just feels really hollow, like Maneuver did.
Soulless.
Right, okay, I guess this is a boss, because he has really hyped music, and there's only one of him.
Doesn't seem to be a lot of game here, to be honest.
No, there doesn't. I mean...
World Battle Mode, I assume, is online, so you've got...
Oh, speed down. Why would you do that? Why would you give crippling things?
The game does support Dolby Digital 5.1, though.
I'm sure it does. Because, I mean, for such a killer soundtrack, you definitely need Dolby Digital.
So it looks like there's a few new
Secret panel.
mechanisms in place here.
Well, I mean, you know, he's doing some crazy, powerful bombs at the moment. I'm going to get the fuck out of the way of that, because that looks like it's going to kill me.
But someone must have thought this was a good idea at one
Well,
point.
obviously someone thought this is a good idea, because it got made. But, I mean...
Published by Konami.
Yeah, but as I'm saying, like, when Konami bought Hudson, they were working on some really nice-looking bonk titles that never came to be. And the fact that this
So
did...
Konami made Hudson make this, do you think?
I assume so. I don't think Hudson was just like, you know, the world needs a dark, gritty reboot of Bomberman. There we go, I got hit.
Spent 99 kroner on
I did spend a tenner on
Oh
this,
my
Tom.
gosh.
Because I didn't think it would be this shit, to be honest with you. Well, I got killed then. I did win though, apparently. I don't know how that happened because I clearly died there. There we go. Secret apparently alive. Secret panel 1. I got an achievement.
I don't know
This game has some terrible achievements from what I remember as well. Like, I'm sure there's one that's just like you need to play like 7 million games of Bomberman. Or they're all secret, you can't see them. I'll have a look that up when I give it back to you for some classic Bomberman action. Because I think I've had enough. Can I quit out? Can I actually
Is
not?
there not a start menu?
This is the
Isn't
start
it-
button.
That's... What about the back button?
I pressed the back button and it
Oh.
just made the Bomberman thing pop up over my head. Right, okay. So we can click that.
So you actually
Alright,
have
I am.
to...
Right, back and X is go to the title screen. There we go.
Of course it is.
Of course.
You
Such
have to look that up.
intuitive controls. There you go, Tom. I'm going to
Oh,
pass this
great.
controller
I'm
to
gonna
you.
try the other mode. The other one other.
Classic Bomberman, if you would.
I'm not very good at Bomberman, by the way.
Well, I mean, neither was I, and I just won, so it's fine.
But you like Bomberman at least.
I love Bomberman. Bomberman is one of my favourite games. Bomberman Generations for the GameCube is a fantastic title. Go on, Battle Standard.
Yeah.
Also just saw there's a mode there called Cage, which I think we would be doing ourselves a disservice in not checking out.
was where you customized your character.
All right,
That's
okay.
it.
So there's an option for me changing the colour of my Bomberman. Great.
Yeah.
Taking an hour to do so.
I don't know if there's any other options. Maybe you could unlock things as you play through the main game to customize your Bomberman.
I think
That
I
would
got
be
a
cool.
bigger arm.
Or your Bomber Girl. So here we are. This is more classic Bomberman, apparently. As classic as you can get in Bomberman Act Zero. But look at those metal textures. Oh, here I
Exactly,
am.
they're brilliant and gritty. Okay, this is a lot better. It looks like. You can see where the fucking enemy is.
Oh,
Great, cool. You're really good at Bomberman, Tom.
Yeah, as you can tell, I am dead.
Wow.
I'll try again.
I think you should.
Yep. Are you looking at review scores?
No, I'm looking up achievements because I know the review scores are terrible. It's got a user score on XboxAchievements.com of 38%.
Wow, I have to wait all this to go back and try again.
Yeah, you
once
do.
I die. Oh my god.
Right, so there's 5 achievement points for planting 1,000
Oh, I
bombs.
went the wrong thing.
There's 1,000 achievement points for blowing up blocks. There's 10 achievement points for killing 100 enemies. There's 10 achievement points for 100 battles. There's 5 achievement points for a battle score of 5,000, etc., etc. 10,000 bombs nets you 10 achievement points. 100,000 bombs nets you 30 achievement points. And 1,000,000, Tom, you get 54. Isn't that good of them? Isn't that good of them? Kill 1,000 enemies, you get 30.
Yep.
You have played using all of the characters, gives you 10. So, if you play as a male and a female, I guess, by customizing them, you get 10 achievement points. Oh, wow! The single-player mode, you get 50 for clearing it. And the achievement title is You Have Reached the Land of Despair.
Oh.
I was pretty much there already,
I
but
don't know
thank
what
you.
the ending to this game is. Do you ever get out of
Well,
this terrible experience?
There seems to be 100 rounds of Bomberman.
It's playable, but it's just incredibly
Dull?
Dull, I suppose. And you're right, the charm of Bomberman is a lot. It's just classic, simple gameplay. This has that, but its presentation is a huge draw, isn't it?
Well, I mean, a lot of the joy of Bomberman as well is local multiplayer, and to fuck that up and not include it seems like a bit short-sighted on Konami's part.
Yeah.
It's because everything's online, man. Everything's online. You're gonna die. How the fuck didn't you die? Oh, it's because you've got health. Okay, that's how you didn't die.
Oh yeah, it's not one bomb kill.
No, you just lose health. So one bomb kills the enemies for now, I guess. Oh man, that's gonna get really annoying in the later game then, when people have got health bars and you need to fucking bomb them like 10 times, especially when you've cleared the arena. Wow, this game could get real tedious as it goes on, I think.
I'm not really good at Bomberman strategies here. I'm trying to bomb him in.
Just gotta box him in, like the AI is terrible.
Well, I guess it's meant to be easy to begin with.
Yeah, I guess so, but I mean... See, what he does is he moves around, so pretty much you've just got to make him walk into his own bomb. That's what I pretty much did for the entire thing. Man, you'd be so dead if this was regular Bomberman. You would have died, like... Man, you're terrible, Bomberman. Okay, this is a terrible Bomberman game. I will give you the benefit of the doubt. You are dead. Have you got anything more to say about the, the harsh future world of
There isn't
Bomberman?
actually a lot more to say, is there? I'd like to see the ending, but we're not going to play through the entire game.
No, I think maybe we should do a separate video where we watch the ending of Bomberman. I'm sure it is available on YouTube. Well, fortunately, Thomas, Matthew Burke has done us the kindness of playing through 100 levels of Bomberman. Let's check this shit out.
This is the ending to Bomberman Act Zero.
Thank you, Matthew Burke.
Oh my.
It's recorded off a television. Okay, he's literally playing an end level of Bomberman in terrible
Why does it look
quality.
so crap?
He won. Congratulations. I have no idea why that menu came up. It's almost if Connect's listening to my thoughts.
Stop listening.
Okay.
Oh, here we are. They're going to get out.
Do you think?
Yeah. Oh.
Look at all those things open, Tom. Isn't it exciting?
It's like the end of THX.
A little bit, yeah, actually. Kind of reminds me more of the 1986 Transformers movie when they transform in Autobot City, but that's each to his own. Oh, there's a Metroid.
Weird on these colours.
Yeah, this TV's fucking ruined. Okay,
Unless
so
that's
there's
really
the
what it looks
sky.
like.
Wow.
Yeah, so he got out. That'd be end of THX.
It is.
Oh my lord, that's it.
I fucking told you. I knew it would be like that. I knew it was going to be like, just like, up, because there was no intro, really. Yeah, so that is the ending of this terrible, terrible game. Not a terrible game, really. It's playable, but I mean, it's so fucking boring.
And the omission of a offline multiplayer is inexcusable.
It is. I think so. I think this is, by that standard, I mean, our last game was pretty fucking boring, but I think this is probably the worst game we have played yet. It's not the best worst game. That still is actually down to a Phoenix game. I would still say RC Toy Machines is still probably the best game we've played of these 3 videos so far.
Yes, RC Toy Machines is the best game out of these.
Wow, out of these 3, okay.
But it was saying that, are we doing a discredit to the game that is Bomberman? Because this is effectively Bomberman.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is effectively Bomberman, but I mean, a lot of the charm of Bomberman is definitely missing from this. Let's zoom in on that sound. Let's have a look at it. I don't know. I think we need to perhaps maybe play a Bomberman game next time and weigh this up against Bomberman Act Zero. Because I don't think Bomberman deserves...
Bomberman in the best worst game
Yes,
series.
I think we need to purposely go out of our way to find what is considered the worst actual Bomberman game for a system that is not Act Zero and play that.
I don't think any of us are... Oh, what's that noise?
I don't know. But I don't think
I'm waiting for the after credit sequence here.
It's not going to happen, Tom. I'm sorry. I think...
In true Marvel Cinematic Universe fashion.
Yes.
Oh, look, here you go. And the Hudson Soft.
Copyright belongs to Hudson Soft.
Did they not
Good job,
develop it?
Hudson Soft. I guess they didn't. To be continued.
It says Bomberman the...
It says Bomberman Act Genesis to be continued. And
so
that
they're
never
gonna
happened.
Do a sequel.
Yes.
They've done in that, actually. Expanded and added a few more options.
Yeah, giving it multiplayer, I guess. Yeah, so it's just a broken world there with
I don't know,
clouds,
it's
I
quite,
guess.
Simple, straightforward,
Yeah.
artistic even.
Oh,
in
come on,
its,
you're giving him too much credit there. I think bare bones.
It's giving you a moment to kind of contemplate the freedom that you've achieved by getting through 100 levels.
Yeah, sure, I'm sure that's exactly what they were doing.
Because they're certainly holding.
Yeah, I think
here.
that's just until you press a button.
You
This is
think?
it. Yeah, I guess so. Oh well. Anyways, if you've enjoyed this video, why not check out some more of our videos called Best Worst Game. You can find those on blastprocess.com on this very YouTube channel. And you can also listen to some more of us talking on a wonderful podcast called Tomomat Attack, which is released every Sunday on iTunes. And wise words there from Matthew Burke, I'm sure. I think he just called it a crap ending. But you can,
I thought he said, I think I'll have a bath.
Yeah, maybe. You can find us on, as I said, blastprocess.com, tomomatattack.com/podcast, as well as iTunes.com, and iTunes, the application on Macintosh and iOS devices, where you should give us a cheeky rate and subscribe if you haven't already. Okay, cool. That's us. Until next week, where we play another shit game. Game on.
Game on.
So I'd actually recommend it. Now I suppose it's finally time for me to get on with talking about some other games. You know, games that aren't part of the Bomberman series. Oh, what the hell? What was that? Oh god. No. No, I don't want to play this. I don't want to play this game. Where did this even come from? Seriously, where did this game even fall from? No, hey, do not fade to be continued. No, I'm not playing this. Stop it. Stop it right now. Stop. God damn it. In 2006, they made Bomberman Act Zero. It's not very good. Let's take a look at it. Oh no. Bomberman? Is that you? What have they done to you? This game was meant to be a reboot of sorts to the Bomberman franchise. They made it more realistic, more adult. Not really sure why though, the series was fine as it was, but fine, you know, whatever. Rebooting a classic cartoony video game series and making it more adult and edgy, specifically on the Xbox 360, worked out so well for Sonic the Hedgehog that I'm sure it's going to work out here as well. And in case you couldn't tell, I'm being sarcastic. You know, sarcasm is the lowest form of comedy. No, that would be mime. And get the hell out of here. No way, Jose. I have to stay and defend this game's honor. Anyone with half a brain can tell that this game sucks. Why do you like this? That's none of your concern. Well, it kind of is. You refuse to leave. But fine, whatever. Stick around and I can explain to you exactly why this game never should have been made. Let's start with a quick plot summary, or at least what I can decipher about the plot. Other than a couple of short cutscenes showing a large factory setting building these robot people, there's no real story cutscene. There's just this long, boring text scroll, and then what's written in the instruction manual. So basically, World War III happened, and the world went to crap. Each nation came to possess lethal weapons of massacre. So a giant underground factory was built, and it basically just builds these bombermen and bomber women. The ultimate human weapon! They were built to fight in the war, I guess, but instead of actually doing that, or doing anything that makes any semblance of sense at all, they are built with no memories at all or any ideas of why they're even here. They're just built and then they're literally told to fight each other to the death. Only one can survive. Each subject must eliminate all others or be disposed of. What sense does that make? I guess giving them practice to make sure that only the best one goes up to fight in the war? I guess that kinda makes sense, but you know what, no. I mean, there's strength in numbers. If you're building thousands of these things, then just let them go. I'm sure they'll be fine. Oh, and also, it's been 300 years since the factory was first built. The human who built the factory is long dead, and the war is probably over. And they're still down here fighting each other. Okay. You know what? Whatever. Why am I even trying to make sense of this? Let's just talk about the game itself. So the game... oh god, it's really ugly. I usually try not to just talk about graphics right off the bat, but I feel like I'm going to be constantly revisiting this topic many times, so I might as well comment on it now. What's the problem? What's the problem? Look at this crap. What? So they updated the graphics a bit? Big whoop. No, updating graphics is one thing. This is not an update. This is just a desecration of a franchise. Nothing about the visuals in this game tell me that it's Bomberman. The characters don't look right, the environment doesn't look right, the bombs don't even look like bombs, they're just these glowing balls of energy. But even taking aside the fact that this doesn't remind me at all of the series that it belongs to, the graphics still aren't very good. They're uninspired, flat, murky, boring to look at, generic, they're just not good graphics. And the music also reflects that. It's just generic and forgettable. As for the game, you have two game modes to choose from. Classic mode, which is, well, it's classic style Bomberman, and FPB mode, or first person battle mode, which is actually a third person mode, but you know, whatever. We can't expect a company that makes video games for a living to know that. The gameplay is, as you might have guessed, as generic as can be. It's just basic Bomberman. There's nothing really new to see here. Except for the first-person mode, actually, which at first seems like kind of a neat idea. The camera is zoomed into your character and you can rotate it around you. It kind of gives the familiar format a fresh coat of paint, and it seems kind of cool. That is, until you realize that it's just worse than classic style. You can't see the entire stage from this view, so planning out how to kill your enemy and hell, just even how to get to them is pretty hard. An overhead view, like in all of the other games, just works better for this gameplay. Add in the fact that the power-ups, explosions, the bombs themselves, they all look very graphically bland and uninspired, especially at this angle. They tend to blend together. I often mistake bombs for power-ups. So the other mode, being just classic regular mode, is still not very fun, but, you know, it's better. Oh, well, come on, now you're not even being fair. Bomberman is always more fun when you play it in multiplayer, so stop playing the single-player mode. Well, sorry, I can't access the multiplayer mode, so all I have to play is the single player. Oh, what's wrong, noob? You don't have any friends to play the game with? I feel like you may be projecting a little bit. And also, it's not my fault that there's no local multiplayer. Well, why would you possibly need local multiplayer when you can just play it on the internet? Just play it on Xbox Live. Okay, 1, I don't currently have my Xbox 360 hooked up to the internet. 2, I doubt anybody would be online right now playing this piece of crap. And 3, it still wouldn't be much better. playing online with real people might be slightly better than against computers. But multiplayer Bomberman is always the most fun when you play it with other people in the same room as you. I know that may be becoming a foreign concept to kids nowadays, but it's true. When you're actually with people, it has a certain charm. So what else can I say? Well, for one, these 2 single-player modes do actually have an ending. It may at first seem like it's just a series of battles against computer characters that just keep going and going until you die, but don't be ridiculous. This game's single-player mode is far better than that. It keeps going and going and going and going until you beat level 99, and then you've won. There are 99 levels, or floors, that you have to play through in order to get to the surface and escape. Good luck with that. This game has no save feature, so if your character dies a single time, then it's back to floor 1. Talk about tedious, I mean, oh my god. And with a loading screen and a short cutscene before every floor, it's going to take you even longer to win this thing. It adds up. And when you're forced to basically play the same level over and over and over again, albeit with ramping difficulty, you really start to realize how boring it is. Don't get me wrong, it's a great gameplay formula, Bomberman rules, but when I'm expected to play it for hours and hours on end, constantly, without dying once, and with graphics this boring, it's just, yeah, it's really boring and tedious, and I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here. It sucks. And to be fair, other Bomberman games kept the formula fresh, not only with graphics that were pleasant to look at, but with fun power-ups like Louie and sometimes environmental hazards in the levels. I don't think it's a big shock to say that the adorable and lovable Louie does not make an appearance in this game. And while I did not play far enough to be absolutely sure, I highly doubt that the levels ever change or introduce fun obstacles or hazards. It's just the same crappy level over and over, and while there are power-ups, there are sadly less than usual. And aside from the basic ones, I actually only ever collected 1 power-up after playing for over an hour. I guess that the other power-ups don't really start appearing until the later levels, but I can't even make it past 10. I just get so bored, I get so disinterested. I literally can't focus on the game enough to get far in it. It's just, it's so boring. No matter which mode you play in, the single player's not very good, but there is one main difference. The standard mode is better in pretty much every way, except that you actually have a health bar in the first person mode, not the classic mode. And because this game's about getting through 99 levels without dying a single time, the one-hit deaths are kind of annoying. So pick your poison. Gameplay that's more fun, but it's harder to win, or gameplay that's worse, and it's still pretty impossible to win. Why am I even trying? Survive this endless battle. I like how even the game seems to be acknowledging the repetitiveness of this borefest. I think I might be done. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's a bad game. Yeah. Yeah, it is. No! Stop berating this all-time classic. This game is a treasure. What the hell are you talking about? This game sucks. It absolutely sucks. It spits on every previous Bomberman game. This game's a reboot of the franchise, so it's okay for it to be different, but this looks nothing like Bomberman. So what? Are you saying that change is a bad thing? No. Change can be good. Updating a formula can be good. Updating the visuals in a game can be good. But all of these things can also be very bad. When they completely turn their back on what made the original great, when they change it too much, or when the changes just plain suck. This game fails on all 3 accounts. The gameplay changes that they made sucked, they got rid of local multiplayer, and the game just looks way too different. Hell, I bet that most people that see this game don't even think that it's an actual Bomberman game. That maybe it just has the same name, but it's of a different franchise. Maybe it's just a coincidence. But no, this is made by Hudson. It's meant to be a reboot of the beloved franchise that many hold near and dear. Well, I guess the series was dying. I mean, maybe the games weren't selling very well anymore, so they figured they had to make some changes, and so they rebooted it. Even if the Bomberman series was going downhill, which I'm not convinced at all that it was, this was not the way to revitalize it. Now let's see what would have been a good 360 game. Bomberman Battlefest. It's great. It took the classic Bomberman formula and it put a fresh coat of paint on it. Sure, it didn't have a single-player story mode, but it did have online and local multiplayer. It added in some power-ups and a bunch of customization options. Well, this game has customization too. Well, GM, you got me there. Well, the game looks pretty cool. It's dark and realistic, and it's the first Bomberman game in HD. They had to take advantage of that. Yeah, but they didn't take advantage of it. At first glance, you could mistake this for an original Xbox game, not a 360 one. It's ugly, generic textures, ugly models, bad design. It's a hideous game. And also, why would it have to look darker and more realistic just to look good in high definition? Well, they had to appeal to and target an older crowd, so they made the game look cooler and darker. Why? I mean, sure, we don't live in Neverland, we're all eventually gonna grow up, but that doesn't mean that they're ever gonna run out of children to play their games. And aside from that, the older style appealed to people of all ages. Sure, there's always going to be insecure people that don't want to be caught playing a cartoony, childish game like this, but all in all, bright and colorful games are just pleasant to look at. They catch the eye and they hold people's attention. By making a game like this, all you're really doing is alienating the younger crowd, and then failing to pull in the older crowd since your game just blends in. It's not unique anymore. It's just ugly. Well, they improved the gameplay? No, they didn't. Haven't you been listening to a single word that I've been saying? Don't answer that! The only thing that they added in this game was the first-person mode, which is bad. As I've already stated, the overhead view is just better. From a gameplay standpoint, it is objectively better. The game just plain sucks. It has a super lame story that barely even matters, horrible presentation, basic and boring gameplay, and they don't even know what first person means. A reboot is one thing, but when you've gone from this to this, then you know you've done something wrong. Alright, fine, it sucks. Of course it sucks. This game is terrible. Why have you been arguing with me this entire time then? Well, I was just lying to myself. I was just trying to make myself feel better because I spent $60 on this thing when it first came out. Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. It must be hard. Oh, well, thanks, man. It was. I mean, I really thought this game could be really good, but when I first played it, it was so... No, I mean, it must be so hard being this stupid. So stupid that when you first saw the cover to this game, you still decided to buy it. I mean, I couldn't possibly imagine being that stupid myself. I probably wouldn't even be able to get through the day. I mean, I'd probably go downstairs and try to make myself some breakfast, but I'd just keep missing the bowl when I'm pouring my milk. Yeah, so very stupid you are. So to wrap things up, you're incredibly stupid. I hate you. You suck. Get lost. And I am so very, very sorry. I hate you so much. Well, I guess that wraps that up. We're finally done with the Bomberman marathon, if that's what you want to call it. So next time we'll be moving on to something else. Are you done the Bomberman review yet? Well, when I heard you were playing Bomberman 64, I went out and got a prop. Figured you could use a funny Bomberman-styled prop to use, for a skit or something. Why did you light the fuse? I don't know. It seemed like a good idea at the time?
Stereotypes are true. They're just mostly true. Just like not absolutely all updates of classic arcade franchises suck. And to test this theory, here's our preview of Bomberman Act Zero.
Ready, start.
When you think of games that need a next-gen twist, I'm sure there are several names that come to mind. Bomberman, however, isn't one of them. But that's exactly what we get with Bomberman Act Zero. In the future, cyborgs are forced to train in a fully automated underground facility designed to create the final human weapon. As Bomberman, you'll have to fight other Bombermen to see who will make it to the surface as the ultimate weapon.
You win.
Look, I don't want to rain on anyone's parade, but I'm not sure this is the best way to make a human weapon. According to the manual, the Bombermen know nothing of the outside world. All they know is the world of the experiment. Once the final Bomberman makes it out of the facility, what's to prevent him from killing everyone? All he's ever known is fighting to survive. Most likely he'll get to the surface, see a deer, and bomb the shit out of it. And now that I think about it, what kind of ultimate weapon can't get into hand-to-hand combat? Really, the only thing Bomberman is good at is fighting other Bombermen in a giant room with evenly spaced blocks in it. All I'm saying is, you don't need a backstory for Bomberman. He's just a dude that plants bombs, so essentially he's a terrorist man. Oh, or woman, because you can be a bomber lady too.
Who is that? She is sexy.
Oh, hi, Automatic Review Robot 3000.
I want me a piece of that. Smack it up, flip it, rub it down. Oh no.
Don't you have a wife?
What she does not know is not my problem.
I heard that.
Heard what?
Is that what you want? A robot slut?
At least she would go down on my CPU.
Hey, I've got a preview to do, so take it somewhere else. Jeez. Anyway, 360's Bomberman has several different styles of play, going from an overhead view to a first-person bomber style. You'll end up fighting multiple enemies, and the ceiling will eventually come crashing down around you. All the while, you'll be bombing, and bombing, and bombing. And screaming.
Can I get the robot's Lux phone number?
No.
Oh, I see. Are you tapping that ass?
What? No! It's just a preview. Go home to your wife and wait until later this summer.
Affirmative. I will go home to my wife. But first, the robot strip club.
I heard that. Sadness. Sadness.
Please
Sadness.
stop crying.
Sadness.
I'm sorry.
Sadness. Sadness.
Forgive me.
Sadness. Sadness.
Oh, shut up
Sadness.
already.
Sadness. Sadness.
A nice bombing always reminds me of my year abroad in Basque Country.
They are the most adorable of ethnic separatist groups. Be sure they may kill a Spaniard or two every year, but it's more than worth it just to see how cute they look when they're behaving like their grievances matter.
We don't actually believe this. We mainly just wanted to get hate mail from Basques. Bombing is cool. With stuff like that going on, you can understand why Ted Kaczynski and Rita Rudner love bombing so much. And you can also understand the appeal of our next game, Bomberman Act Zero. Do you remember Bomberman? Sweet, innocent, square-headed Bomberman. Well, he's got a makeover, and this is the Bomberman of today. Bomberman Act Zero takes place in a depressing post-apocalyptic world where combatants are only bred for one reason: non-stop bombing action.
Hello and welcome to another explosively depressing episode of What Happened, the show where we crack open the powder kegs of fiery failure that have left shockwaves all over the bomb puns. 'Cause Bomberman! Ever since we opened up our stage, there's been a constant hum, a buzz, if you will, to cover one of the earliest, most spectacular faux pas in the HD generation of gaming. Bomberman Act Zero, or Zero Hour, I confuse the two sometimes. Anyway, I've said it before, so I'll say it again. The 7th generation was rough, y'all. Dog rough. Because breaking through those skyrocketing budgets and Unreal 3's poor texture load-in and coming out the other side as a success success was a fairly rare occurrence. Hudson Soft made a name for themselves through the 80s and 90s with franchises like Adventure Island, Bonk, Bloody Roar, and on top of them all, Milan's Secret Castle, so they weren't the best equipped to compete with the gloppy gray shooters of the HD era, and their premier character, Bomberman, was the illest equipped of all. Now let's take a closer look at this man of bombs, this Bomberman. Adorable little expressive eyes, bright colorful costume, he's just so very and of course, he wields weapons of mass destruction that cause pillars of fiery death that chase people down hallways. Gee, I wonder which of these aspects will make it into the Xbox 360.
Hey kids, do you know Bomberman?
Yeah!
Shut the f*** up! This is Bomberman Extreme! Are you prepared for his Act Zero?
No.
Good, then get ready for body horror, techno-organic cyber infusion, big fat anime titties, no local multiplayer, all the things you love about Bomberman. So, tell your folks, buy me Zero out Act Zero, or go to hell.
Oh, that's not good for my voice. So yeah, for HD consoles, Hudson Soft they tried something different with Bomberman. Now, if history is any indicator, and it most of the time is, whenever a new generation kicks off, the first genre that blows up the hardest is what other companies will try to emulate for the next few years. For example, Grand Theft Auto 3 spawned many similar open-world sandboxes. Therefore, Gears of War spawned many Gears of War. Japanese publishers were already trying to adjust to the fluctuating tastes of the West. Even at the tail end of the PS2 and Xbox's life, you'd start to see cheap attempts to cash in on violent, more darker affair. Stuff like Konami's Nano Breaker, Capcom's Shadow of Rome or Beatdown, or Namco's Urban Reign, so the seeds were being planted nice and early. In addition, with Xbox Live and online multiplayer's burgeoning popularity, Hudson also felt it best to get on that train as well, and hey, they chose to do so with their flagship franchise, which is something that should have never happened. But why did this all happen? Well, an article via The Cartel that no longer exists online, but was archived, written by one John Lee, paints a picture on why is it gotta be like this. Hudson felt this overwhelming need to please its shareholders, so games like Bomberman Act Zero came to be. Before the US division of Hudson was fully established, the remaining creative minds in Hudson wanted to update Bomberman to cater to Westerners. The company believed that the US was an opportunity to grow again. Unfortunately, the game was developed in a vacuum and it was based on what the Japanese thought Western tastes in gaming were. Without the original Bomberman creator on board to protect the brand and without input from US operations, which at the time didn't have any real developers on board yet, Bomberman was thrust into a post-apocalyptic world that was dark and sinister. Now, for him to fit in this horrific post-apocalyptic world, Bomberman needed to go through, some changes. From this little guy into a far more generic, bland, armored, killing synthoid that wouldn't be out of place on any PC accelerator card from like 1998. Some people have theorized that Hudson may have taken inspiration from the original Bomberman design featured on the NES box art, but like, yeah, who does that? Who in their right mind would willingly implement a terrible version of their marquee character into a brand Regardless, it seems the original Bomberman was indeed a source of inspiration, because in a Japanese interview upon the game's reveal, a very reasonable question was posed to lead game designer Koichi Takashita. The Bomberman series so far featured cartoony characters, but this time it's presented in realistic 3D. Options like cel shading could have been a new way of expressing personality, so why did you go for realistic 3D characters? The new world and design was in order from our producer right at the start. Bomberman's image has been skewed towards younger audiences the past few years. This time we dropped the comical appearance and decided to build fresh off the origin of Bomberman. The story was already there in the original game on the Famicom. In the manual, it described a story set in a cramped, underground underground dwelling where they aim to escape to the surface. We looked at that and asked the question, what if it were realistic? So it became Bomberman Act Zero. It wasn't going to be a Gaiden story or a what-if tale, it's another take on the source material. That's terrible. Anyway, not content with only just having a muscular badass robo-cyborg synthoid, Hudson realized that American gamers like other things, like bazongas, as was the style at the time. Thus, they also took Pink Bomber, this gal right here, and Todd McFarlaned her into oblivion, making sure to place emphasis on certain specific areas. These same areas, of course, got special attention in-game as well. Now, that's all fine and good, but why reboot it at all? Act Zero? What does that even mean in regards to Bomberman? Is there any meaning behind the title of Act Zero? To us, Zero means a brand new beginning and a fresh start. In fact, early in development, it was called Bomberman Begins, but because a movie about a certain bat-themed character came out, that title couldn't be used. Act Zero better invoked the image we wanted from Begins anyway. Okay, sure, whatever, dude. Now, this all seems really ill-advised, doesn't it? Well, John Grainer, a former boss at Hudson USA, tried his best to explain why this happened to planet Earth. I think this was a case where Hudson, and we cautioned against it, we said, don't call it Bomberman, you might piss people off. They didn't quite get that and said, we want to make Bomberman new, you know? People don't want that new, they want new features or something like that, but not a new character. Their point was to make a game that looked new, but also maintained the features and sensibilities of Bomberman. That is a logical plan, a logical approach to putting out good products over a period of time, but they changed the character and world too much. There were good things in Act Zero that everybody ignored because they were so pissed about the character. You're not wrong about that last point. Now, if you want to make a game with a dark, edgy theme with violent overtones and even a bit of titillation, that's fine. Create a brand new franchise that offers those things, but if you take a character or series that's been established for years, decades even, and decide to do the same thing, well, when has that ever worked? Oh, right, never. Fans did not take this new direction well, but it's easy to assume that a percentage of players that enjoyed the Bomberman of old would be able to ignore the ugly reskin and still enjoy that same tried and true gameplay. Those people would be wrong. One of the key things of playing classic Bomberman is situational awareness, being able to see the entire screen and make split-second decisions about bomb placement and enemy positions. Act Zero decided, for some reason, to shift the camera angle to be far lower, limiting that field of vision. Once again, that Japanese interview seems to question this really bad design choice. When people hear Bomberman, they think of the bird's eye view perspective. Why have you adopted the new FPB mode? The classic Bomberman gameplay is still intact. That part of the game has been completed and it is terrific. There are people who wanted to see this new action from the Bomberman's point of view. We built the FPB mode to satiate that desire. There was some trial and error before reaching its current state, like testing out a first-person shooter style of camera. However, we still respected that the traditional gameplay was about scanning the battlefield and thinking things through. It's different, but it's still the same traditional game of Bomberman, so I think we've done a good job. No, you didn't. Okay, we need to unpack this. FPB stands for First Person Battle, but it's not first person at all, but rather a weird third person behind the back sort of thing. It simultaneously shows less of the battlefield than the original games, but it's also not as interesting or novel than if it were actually in first person. So this literally pleases nobody and was one of the main complaints fans and reviewers lobbied against Act Zero. It also had a life bar and a Bomberman game. They even knew this was all a big mistake because FPB is its own separate mode, as the standard mode takes place from a more traditional perspective. Why this just wasn't a toggle in the options is anyone's guess. Now, that's just how the action is presented, the camera angle it's framed in, so what could be worse than that? Well, remember all those great memories you had of playing 2, 4, or even 8-player Bomberman with friends? Well, forget all that, because for reasons that can only be attributed to, I guess, the focus on Xbox Live, all forms of local multiplayer were axed. Not only did this indeed piss off much of the fan base, as it might be the first mainline Bomberman title since the NES original with no local multiplayer, it also ensured that the game would be pretty much useless in the future, as, yeah, no one has logged on to the servers in years, except for maybe stop skeletons from fighting.
Good thing she's got those ropes attached to her chest to hold them puppies up.
Now, we've saved the best or worst for last. One of the most fundamental of fundamentals that Act Zero lacked was the complete absence of any sort of save feature. No autosaves, manual saves, and before you say passwords, there wasn't any passwords. So you better clear those 99 levels on one single life, because if you don't, you start the whole thing over from the beginning. Hope you don't mess up on like level 98. I'm surprised the game didn't try to make passwords edgy somehow, like bio codes or bomb memories, which lets you save the tortured, mutated thoughts of your Bomberman or whatever. Regardless, this completed the triumvirate of massive gameplay issues that blew up this attempt at trying to reboot the franchise. So with all of these problems, as well as the aesthetic choices that fans didn't really appreciate, it might come as no surprise that Bomberman X-Zero is one of the lowest rated titles of the generation, and was a sales disaster for Hudson Soft. John Lee, in his article, stated, Bomberman X-Zero was a low point for the company. Sales for the series dropped to a low of about 20,000 units from a high of more than 1 million copies per game during its peak in the 90s. Well, that's only because the haters and detractors spread their baby lies about X-Zero and weren't real gamers, according to a blog post on Hudson Soft's now defunct official website. I'm here to tell you that Bomberman X-Zero is actually pretty damn cool. If you think I'm talking out of my ass, check out my Xbox Live gamer card. I'm actually playing the game and enjoying it. Forget the haters out there and all the lemmings who jumped on the bashing bandwagon. This is the first Bomberman game that tracks player stats on a worldwide level. So all you smack talkers out there, it's time to put your money where your mouth is. You get scored for every kill, so for those of you with the realest skills can boast while people like me giggle when we accidentally win. But if you're still a hater, then go play your Bomberman PSP, bah, and go play with your Hello Kitty toys too. This I command. If you'd like to know more about Act Zero, want to check out some snazzy wallpapers, hit up our official game page now. God, okay. Bomberman is fine nowadays. There are more traditional titles that came out after, so it didn't even kill the series. If you know of any other really bad or stupid game, I can't even finish it. Just post a comment in the comments below, or go to the Patreon and check that out. Go play with your Hello Kitty toys. Are you serious?
Bomberman has always been a confounding series for me. When you say the name Bomberman, you automatically know who I'm talking about. He's a cute Japanese character. He's white and blue, he's a big-headed boy with pink hands and feet. He drops bombs, collects power-ups, and he's a multiplayer classic. I've always felt that he's never been given his due. He's one of those second-string mascot characters, you know what I'm talking about, right? He's not like a Mario or a Zelda, Pokemon, or even a Mega Man. He doesn't get that first-string love. You don't see mass Bomberman advertising or droves of people clamoring for the next sequel. He's always just been okay. I was gonna compare him to Banjo-Kazooie, but Banjo and Kazooie got themselves into Smash Bros. Whereas poor Bomberman over here, he's an assist trophy. If that isn't a sign of his status and self-worth to Nintendo, yeah, I don't know what is. He simply isn't the first face that comes to mind when you think of Nintendo. I mean, he might be in the top 50. It's sad. He's always just been scraping by, just begging for that new game. Maybe that's why he jumped ship. And Hudson made this. Does anyone remember this rusty gem of a game? This is Bomberman Act Zero. It was released on August 3rd, 2006, and you can only play it on the Xbox 360.
Betrayed me!
Well, this is what happens to traitors. Look at that Metacritic score. This game has a horrible reputation. I mean, just looking at the cover makes you think, why would you turn cute, innocent Bomberman into some gritty, generic robot? Maybe the back of the box will explain. Bomberman explodes onto Xbox Live. Deep within an experimental underground facility, humans are imprisoned as test subjects and trained to become soldiers. As Bomberman, your objective is simple. Destroy your opponents before they destroy you. So there's clearly no self-awareness. They're not saying lines like, Bomberman is back and more hardcore than ever. There's nothing. There's no connection to the prior games. This is meant to be a clear reboot of the franchise. I can hear the CEOs now. Let's start over with this IP the way we always wanted to. Darker, edgier, and totally not ripping off poor Iron Man. I mean, you have to be kidding me. Hudson, what are you doing? Yeah, alright, let's see. Survive through 99 stages as you try to escape to the Oh, shut the fuck up. I'm not gonna do that. I'll be honest, I played around a little bit because Bomberman isn't worth that kind of dedication. 99 stages, you gotta be out of your mind. Listen, consider this a cautionary tale. Graphics and styles that aim to be cutting edge and mature typically fade away to the sands of time. There was no sequel to this because, guess what? It sold horribly. And why did it sell horribly? Well, maybe it's because people don't like it when you rock the boat too much. People will always remember and enjoy cartoony graphics more than the grit and the dirt because cute shit is just more appealing. I can't help myself.
I can't help it. I love stupid cute shit!
What does Bomberman Act Zero have that vanilla Bomberman doesn't? Well, there is one thing. Bomberman Act Zero has boobies, but it also sold no units. If you somehow mess up the universal law of sex sells, you know you did something wrong.
If you fuck up pork fried rice, what do we got to talk about?
Reviewing Bomberman in general is kind of hard. I've been talking around the game because there's not a lot of substance to it. If you've played any of the earlier games in the franchise, then you know exactly what this game is all about. You place bombs that explode in a T shape to kill other players, and if you don't kill your opponents, don't worry, the stage will kill everyone. Keep doing this for, again, 99 stages, and you'll end with the greatest reward of all, the credit sequence. By the way, if you die once, it's back to level 1, so have fun, stupid. There's two different game modes, one where the camera is close in on the action, and then you got the traditional view where the camera is nice and pulled back so you cannot enjoy any of those new graphics we got. Listen, I personally thought that the closed-in view was kind of neat, but it allowed for a margin of error as you could easily mess up. And when you got one life and your objective is 99 levels, listen, I need every advantage I can get. Now, the gameplay follows a pre-designed path. Every level kind of ramps up slowly, that is until level 5, where the game straight up murderizes you. It's a straight up wake up call boss fight, and I didn't want to put up with it. 99 levels of this? No thank you. Now, you have access to basic power-ups to help you along the way, which include increased range of explosions, being able to place more bombs, speed ups, speed downs, not really a power-up, but okay. Piercing bombs, and of course, quick time exploding bombs. Just remember to play it safe with your bombing because you can accidentally kill yourself. Honestly, playing this by yourself is a pretty bland experience, and you don't really feel like you're having that much fun. There's no charm to keep you invested, and it just feels hollow. One of the appeals of Bomberman is playing it with friends, and it's a shame that I'm playing on an outdated console. I mean, there is online multiplayer, but I'm sure no one played it. But there's also no local multiplayer, which is really strange. Bomberman is kind of that series that's known for local multiplayer. Taking it out must have been part of that reboot agenda, which seems kind of stupid if you think about it, but I don't know, I'm not a game developer. There's nothing left to talk about. I didn't beat this game, and hell, I just had to look up a long play of it and see that the ending is literally just the credit sequence. There's no incentive for me to play. I wasn't angry after playing it, and I wasn't burned $60. Yeah, this was retailed at full price. Can you believe that? I bought this as part of a game lot on eBay, and you know, it was probably worth a few bucks in the grand scheme of things. I do feel bad for people who paid full price for it. There's just nothing special to it. The developers used the same code from the previous Bomberman games from like the late 1980s. They added a dirty coat of paint and shipped it out as an expensive exclusive. I mean, it's not good, but it's not that bad either. I mean, the price is bad. For fun, I thought we could do a little thought experiment. Let's say the original Bomberman never existed. We had nothing to compare this game to. Honestly, I think I'd come away saying the same thing. It's a generic robot in a functional game, but it's kind of cruel to have one life. I'm giving this game a 4 out of 10, teetering on a 5. For the record, it's not far off from how I feel about the original Bomberman games. They're cute and cuddly, but it's fundamentally the same thing. I like the visuals, and that really makes the difference. I give OG Bomberman a 6 out of 10. It's okay. I don't have to play 99 levels, and there's different cute characters to play with. It's cute. I like cute. What can I say?
I can't help it. I love stupid cute shit!
Bomberman is a franchise that I play for a couple minutes. The visuals are cute, and that gives it the bump up from bland status. Bomberman X-Zero is bland, but it's tedious and awful and gritty and bad. So it's a 4. And I think that's fair. Well, that was my quick review of Bomberman X-Zero. You really can't get blood from a stone here. This game is just generic. The gameplay is just regular Bomberman, which is good. I mean, it's fine. But the lack of continues and being 99 levels a tedium had to bump it down. I'm the type of person who looks at games as a total package, and the game's foundational gameplay is solid. I mean, I played it before, it's Bomberman. I really wanted to give it a 5, but that one life thing was just kind of obnoxious. If we're looking at just quick play mode, then the game is a 5, but it has a story mode, which is the main appeal of the game. So I have to judge it on that. This is a bargain bin game in the sea of shovelware. I believe my statements about it were logical, and my score is a reflection of that. I like doing reviews of stuff that I'm playing. I've been playing through my library, it's been a while, and it helps justify my time playing games like this, doing reviews. With that being said, have a good day. Hey, I unlocked a gamer profile picture. I guess it was all worth it after all. What was with Xbox and this pink-haired anime girl? What was that about?
Bomberman is one of the all-time classic video game franchises, a top-down game navigating levels using bombs to blow up obstacles and hazards, a near-perfect blend of action and puzzle game as you fight for survival while trying to outwit your opponents. It's a perfect party game with equalizers inherent to the game's design so that anybody can pick up and play and have a great time, and its simple, elegant, yet addicting gameplay has fueled a successful franchise for decades. But like every long-running franchise, Bomberman has tried to reinvent itself a few times over the years, mostly without success. But no attempt has been more disastrous than Bomberman Act Zero, a game I've been getting requests for since I got my Xbox 360. Thrown together at the behest of Japanese executives based on stereotypes of what they thought Westerners wanted, and with zero involvement from Bomberman's actual creators, Hudson made a new, dark, gritty take on Bomberman, complete with a new origin story to reboot the series. Only for said reboot to die on its ass while the rest of the series moved on without it. And Act Zero is a mainstay of worst games ever list, so let's find out how you could possibly screw up Bomberman enough to land in the ranks of Ride to Hell, Superman 64, Sonic 06, and many other delightful episodes that I've produced for this YouTube channel. On the off chance that you are not familiar with the series, here are the basics of Bomberman. All of the players are dropped into a maze with a lot of destructible blocks. Your only means of attack is to drop bombs that explode in a cross pattern. You can't walk through bombs, and your own explosions can kill you or set off other bombs. You can pick up items that give you a few powers, but mostly they increase the number of bombs you can have on screen at a time and the range of your bomb's explosions. You get hit, you're out, last bomber standing wins. It really is that simple. So again, how do you screw that up? Alright, let's just get the elephant in the room out of the way right now. This emo Iron Man wannabe is not Bomberman. He looks like concept art for a live-action remake of Full Metal Alchemist. I get that it's a challenge to adapt Bomberman's chibi design into something approaching realistic, but these two look nothing alike! And why the hell is Bomberman's right arm chained to his torso so that it can't actually do anything? And if you decide to make a female Bomberman, well, girl bombers in the main series look like this. Just a normal Bomberman with a heart, eyelashes, maybe a dress, and some girly girl body language. The girl bombers in Act 0 are Bondage Boob Lady, complete with a thong on the outside and tons of jiggle whenever you win. Because titillation is a key concern in a dark and gritty survival story about an underground bunker where mechs are made to brutally struggle for survival day in and day out. And yeah, that's what's going on here. In the mainline series, Bomberman and his brothers and sisters are superheroes that go around saving planets from bad guys and renegade mechs. But the dark, edgy, new installment throws that all out the window. Here, Earth is desolated from 300 years of war, and the bombers are cloned human cyborg hybrids bred as bioweapons in an underground prison and forced to fight each other for survival in the dim hope that they can escape to the surface for the privilege of fighting in an apocalyptic war. It's like every edgelord stereotype vomited into one wall of text. Or Bomberman by way of Zack Snyder. And yes, the game's setting is a reference to the story that nobody cared about in the very first Bomberman on the NES, with the armors vaguely based on the shit cover for that game. But did you know that Thor was originally a human doctor who got his powers from his magic walking stick that transformed him into Thor? Or that Superman at first couldn't fly and basically made up new powers for himself on the spot? Or that Iron Man originally could not exit his armor or else he'd die? Or that Wonder Woman's great weakness that stripped her of her powers was being tied up? Some character origins are forgotten and retconned for good reason! But truth be told, I don't care at all about the garbage new story and setting. This reboot was immediately tossed out a window and didn't affect the rest of the series. It's not important. I wouldn't mind at all if the changes to the gameplay were good. The gameplay is not good. The game has no local multiplayer of any kind, and its Xbox Live Online mode is very much not live, so all you've got in this hollow shell of a game are 2 single-player campaigns, Standard and FPB. The FPB stands for First Person Bomber. Beats me the hell why, though, given that it's not a first-person perspective. Did third-person Bomber TPB just sound that much worse, or was FPB more edgy because you can pretend it's an F-bomb? Anyway, the FPB mode blows ass. Rather than the traditional bird's eye view that lets you survey the entire map at once to track enemies and plan out tactics, the FPB mode zooms the camera in on your bomber at an off angle and requires you to manually aim the camera. It can zoom out a little bit, but not enough to give you a good view, and there's basically no useful way to orient this damn camera. At first I tried putting the camera overhead, but you're zoomed in so far you'll never be able to keep track of any of the enemies. You have to give it an oblong view that'll make it harder to tell where you're going or to avoid bombs with any precision, and even with this moderately helpful angle, you still have to constantly stop and manually point the shit in camera yourself, because 1 or 2 turns when fleeing or chasing someone, and you can't see where the hell you're going anymore, much less track one of the AI opponents. And the camera periodically of its own accord swoops down to a really flat view to where you can't see anything. The zoomed in view will often have you running into dead ends and trapping yourself, and if the camera ends up at a diagonal angle, the game will struggle to figure out which direction to move when you hit a corner, completely stalling you out when you're trying to avoid getting blown the hell up! And remember, lots of power-ups boost the range of your bombs, so zoom the camera in on a tiny part of the board, and guess what, jackass? You're constantly going to get blown up from off-screen or run into bombs with barely a second to react. So take a high-speed twitch reflex game that takes careful planning and observation, rig the camera so that you can't see shit, and force you to constantly drop what you're doing to desperately try and wrestle the camera into a position that'll make the game playable for the next few seconds! Apparently the FPB mode was designed because some higher-ups at Hudson just heard that gamers wanted to try a game from the bomber's perspective. Really? Really? Who are these phantom sources that said they wanted a Bomberman game that completely misses the point of a Bomberman game? Who said they wanted a Bomberman title that actively screws you? This reminds me of Sega officers who said, "But we heard people were sick of Sonic running fast. That's why Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric is butt-ass." Is that just the go-to excuse in Japan every time an executive wants to push a stupid-ass idea? Pretend that you're in top-secret communiques with a legion of diehard fans that totally love your games but have never actually played one? They do have a separate gameplay mode where you can do the solo campaign in the traditional overhead Bomberman view, but that crashes into the big problem with this game that makes it truly unsalvageable. One simple problem that ruins the entire thing. Bomberman Act 0 does have a solo campaign, just not a story to go along with it. Said solo campaign is 99 levels long. Good meaty campaign, lots of content, you totally get your money's worth, right? Wrong! You get 1 life to beat the entire campaign. There are no extra lives. There is no continue function. There is no save, load, or password system. There isn't even a damn suspend play option so that you can pause the game and come back to it later. You have to beat all 99 levels of the solo campaign in 1 sitting, and if you die 1 single time, you have to start over. And what makes this worse is, in the FPP mode, you have a life bar and health pickups, a decent safety net so you can take a few hits, but the standard mode plays like traditional Bomberman. You die in 1 hit. Play the solo campaign in standard mode, and you have to play all 99 levels without getting hit once! You stupid motherfuckers! Have you ever actually played a Bomberman game in your life? Have you ever actually watched someone else play one? Literally, the entire damn point of Bomberman is that there's a puzzle element because it's very easy to blow yourself up! You die on accident constantly in Bomberman! That's why it's a perfect multiplayer game. So why in the name of Solid Snake's finest boss would you force players to beat an hours-long campaign without taking 1 single hit? For shit's sake, even Silver Surfer doesn't openly hate its players that much! What the hell were you thinking? So yeah, Bomberman Act Zero is difficult to the point of being practically unplayable. There's only 1 single enemy type across the entire game, by the way. Every single enemy in every single stage is an AI-controlled Bomberman. They don't really have patterns to their movement, so every time you go to kill one is a tedious exercise in trying to find some way to trap the little bastards, since they'll always avoid your bomb blasts. Mostly. And it also means that every single opponent that you face is an even match for you. You're literally just playing 99 rounds of a basic Bomberman multiplayer stage against bots, and that's what passes for a campaign. The laziness here really is astounding. I admit that I've only played 3 Bomberman games before, 93, 94, and Super R, but all 3 games have a fantastic solo campaign. They have a wide variety of enemies, each with their own attacks and basic little AI patterns. They start you out simple, fighting basic enemies that gradually get more advanced. You observe and plan around their movement patterns and new abilities with careful timing. The worlds are all brightly colored and unique, with varying stage hazards and new mechanics to add spice to the gameplay, and at the end of each world is a big, fearsome boss to push your skills to their limits. Other Bomberman games are actual games, with hours of compelling content even when playing alone. Act Zero is 1 level with exactly 1 plain board that is copied and pasted 99 times. There is exactly 1 enemy type that is copied and pasted 99 times. All they did was program 1 single basic AI multiplayer match and force you to play it 99 times. For any game, this would be a bad joke, but for Bomberman fans, it's pathetic and flat out insulting. This is like if you made a fighting game and the survival mode were the only gameplay mode that they included in the entire release. May have gotten away with it on the Genesis or all those crappy arcade ports on the Nintendo 64, but from about the PS2 era onward, you'd be laughed off the stage and given formal orders to go screw yourself! Trying to kill the AI bombers can be a major headache. They're pretty competent at dodging bombs and will wriggle out and escape pretty much any time you go to attack. The best way to kill them, at least early on, is to follow them, wait for them to set a bomb, and then try to trap them against their own explosion. But even as little as I've been able to progress in the campaign, some AIs will just keep slipping away from you again and again and again until time runs out and you have to rely on the collapsing stage to kill them before it kills you. This is all standard for Bomberman multiplayer modes, a tit-for-tat of cat and mouse with enemies, and that's fine. In a casual game where you're accepting that you're not going to win every round, it's exhilarating and fun. But when it's a solo campaign where you have to do this crap for every single enemy across 99 frickin' levels without losing once, it gets exhausting really damn fast. And if the game's random number generator just doesn't feel like giving you bomb pickups, which happen to me pretty often actually, trying to trap the AIs with only one bomb is even worse. See, this is why the other Bomberman games specifically program in the items that you get so you always have what you need when you need it, so you don't get screwed. And if an enemy grabs one of the few items that appears before you do, it's just gone. You don't get to pick up dropped items once the last enemy is dead. Again, something that other Bomberman solo games let you do. If you want to have any hope at all of getting past the first few levels, you're going to be spending most of your time playing the garbage FPB mode. Not just because FPB gives you a health bar so that you don't just die instantly, but because the AI is noticeably dumber anytime that you can't actually see them, blowing themselves up or forgetting to dodge much more often when they're off screen. I don't know if this is deliberate programming or just the game screwing up and having trouble tracking them, but unless you're a hardcore expert, this edge is the only thing that'll get you further than 10 minutes in. The game does have boss battles, or at least a poor substitute. Every 5th level or so, they send you against a bomber that spawns with a crap load of power-ups, so that it just starts out significantly stronger than you, and it'll just spam bombs with humongous explosions reaching across the whole map, non-friggin' stop. So again, really bites that the brand new camera can easily have you blow up from off-screen, and just fantabulous that slipping up once or twice starts the game over. At least I think they send in these assholes every 5th level. I kinda can't get past stage 8 or 9. The game also has some major balancing problems. One of the classic Bomberman power-ups is the line bomb, which lets you set all your bombs at once in a line straight ahead of you. It's not terribly useful. It requires a lot of other power-ups and is pretty easy to dodge most of the time, but sometimes it's handy. But Act 0 adds another power-up called the Infinity Bomb, which lets you set an unlimited number of bombs on the field at once. Does anybody care to venture a guess what happens when you combine the Infinity Bomb with the Line Bomb? It nukes the entire field instantly! Especially if you also have the Remote Detonation Bomb item to trigger them all right away before anybody can find cover. Or even better, the Penetrating Bomb that punches through all the soft blocks on the field at once. And yeah, I've seen playthroughs by people who did actually make it to the end of the game. They just spam this over and over again. Breaking the unholy fudge out of the game is how you win. Hell, just the Infinity Bomb plus the Remote Detonator is a deadly combo. Run across the stage setting a conga line of bombs, then find cover and nuke tons of different lanes and angles all at once. There is a funny quirk to the item system though. When you take a non-fatal hit, you have a chance to drop items, and this can include speed down items so that getting hit makes you faster. Also, you can't have the penetration and remote detonation powers both at once. I suspect this was not done for game balance, but because both items change the color of your bombs and they couldn't figure out how to have both at once. And on top of how simplistic the game is, it's also fairly glitchy. My controller would regularly disconnect in the middle of games for no friggin' reason, and if you try to change your character's color or gender, it's a total crapshoot whether the game actually registers it or not. And every time you first spawn, the stupid-ass camera clips into your character's body multiple times. Did anyone playtest this? Well, thanks pretty much exclusively to the infinite line bomb combo, I did manage to get to level 11, where something different finally happens. The fight starts with a low time limit, with pressure blocks already collapsing the stage. Well, this should be pretty— No! Shit! I got caught in the middle of my own line bomb. A long-running little quirk of this particular item. Well, so much for that. Oh, and the game's online multiplayer, which is pretty much abandoned unless a major YouTuber announces that they're doing an event, yeah, it sucked too. One basic map and all the hideous balancing issues with hackers piled on top of it. Curious, since Bomberman 93 and 94 both had at least 8 multiplayer maps apiece, each with unique gimmicks that kept shuffling up the gameplay like spinning gates, conveyor belts, warp holes, regenerating blocks, maps that startle the characters at max power or give them super speed. Seriously, how is it that literally everything Act Zero does is horribly outmatched by the exact same games literally a decade older? From what I've heard, you're not missing anything if you can't beat the campaign on account of, being human. Apparently all that happens is the final level opens a door to the outside and you're just shown the wallpaper from the game's main menu. This could not more obviously be a budget title made for about $10. I'm honestly stunned that Hudson's logo is actually on this game because it is so inexcusably cheap and lazy that it feels like Konami outsourced it to a basement in the Czech Republic. You know, like they did with Silent Hill. This game was made solely to capitalize on Xbox Live's popularity for online multiplayer, except even the online mode was threadbare and horrifically balanced and shitty, with a garbage campaign of just play 100 multiplayer matches tacked on. You're left with a pitiful game that has no redeeming qualities to it at all, and barely any content, pissing off even the most die-hard of fans and utterly failing to rope in any new ones. Bomberman Act Zero is trash, and an utter humiliation for such a great franchise. A sequel called Bomberman Genesis was planned but never got off the ground because, well, this thing sucks. And the following year, Hudson Soft cranked out the online multiplayer Bomberman Live, actively slammed Act Zero in the marketing campaign, and they've treated Act Zero as a hideous embarrassment ever since. Although someone at Hudson was clearly pretty proud of Act Zero, because before the company gave up on this dumpster fire, they published this blog post on their website.
Forget Bully, GTA, or Saints Row, Bomberman Act Zero is turning out to be the most controversial game of the year. I'm here to tell you that Bomberman Act Zero is actually pretty damn cool, and if you think I'm talking out of my ass, Hulk Hogan, check out my Xbox Live Gamer card. Forget the haters out there and all the lemmings who've jumped onto the bashing bandwagon.
I hope one day to be half as drunk as the guy who wrote this. The blog post, long since deleted but preserved on the Wayback Machine, is titled 5 Reasons Why Bomberman Act Zero Rocks. Reasons 2, 3, and 5 are all because online multiplayer, the online multiplayer that nobody liked and was quickly abandoned. Reason 4 is because high-def graphics, even though, again, uglier than the decade-older TurboGrafx 16 games. Reason 3 outright states they believe that nobody cares about Bomberman single player, and reason number 1 is because it's titled Bomberman, and thus you must buy it for brand recognition, even though it sucks. But the blog post ends with this rather glorious and not at all chuckle-worthy quote.
But if you're still a hater, then go play on your Bomberman PSP! Bah! And play with your Hello Kitty toys too! This I command! If you'd like to know more about Act Zero or want to check out some snazzy wallpapers, hit up our official game page now.
Well, at least he recommended a better game. Now I'm going to go play Super Bomberman R with Solid Snake, Pyramid Head, Dracula, Simon Belmont, and all the other guest stars from dead franchises that Konami drove into the ground. Predator Concrete Jungle is next.
Mission complete.